Okay, here we are. This is Largo. We're doing a one break comp. There's a lot going on with what I'm doing here, so I'm going to try to take it slow, step by step, and hopefully we'll get the win. It isn't guaranteed. There's a lot of RNG involved. So starting formation, we have Billy for his ult on turn 9. We have Therion because he is amazing, A2 for her damage and Berserk mode. Falco for him boosting A2 and Therion here. And his dagger damage is quite good. We have Lynette for her obvious ult and boosting buffing abilities. Alphen is for pomegranate and heals. We have TT and Cyrus here to break and kill these mobs. Additionally, Cyrus is to tuck A2 away on a couple of turns, and TT is to buff A2 and Therion with her crit-based buff. So the reason that we have A2 in the front here and Lynette in the front to start, we want to make sure that we switch Lynette and have that happen before A2 switches to keep the codas going. So Cyrus must be slower than Alphen, and he in fact is. So speed does matter here. This is the maneuver for the first turn. In theory, I could have Falco in the back here, but I just chose to switch them. So there's not really a rhyme or reason there other than I wanted to. I like the look of the 3 thief start. Nothing else is aesthetic because everything else is calculated. This is a very tight run up. I'm not able to 2-turn these, so we will be 3-turning them. We'll use all the BP on this turn, even though that would normally be less efficient. The reason for that is we want to deal as little damage to Largo with this off-brand damage as possible, because it's very tight damage-wide, and if I go over 15% damage, he will spawn the ads, and thus ending the 1-break attempt. And since I did not bring a party equipped to take the 2 breaks, it's pretty dangerous. Now, we got lucky and no one died on that first turn. I will say that it is very possible for someone to die on the first couple turns, specifically Cyrus, which is the other reason A2's in the front, to take some damage and then go to the back, and then Cyrus is so slow, he usually takes less damage. Turn 2, on the other hand, there's a lot of RNG involved where these 2 or Lynette could die. Now, thankfully, Alphen is fast enough to go before Largo, so there is no chance of Lynette dying here, which is nice. I'm only using 2 BP because, again, I don't want to not kill this, but I also want to deal as little damage as possible to Largo here. There we go, and Cyrus will be able to finish that off and do about maybe 2,500 damage. Maybe a little bit more than that, too. Yeah, just under 2,400 damage to Largo, which is great. So here, what we're going to do is we are going to max restrain foe to take this debuff and extend it to the end. We're going to attack 4 times here. We're going to attack 4 times here. We are going to leave Alphen out to make sure that Falco keeps reaching and doesn't lose his full HP, because his passive is important. He has Hail Insight for the dagger attack, so we don't get the dagger damage boost when he's not at full health. So it is important to keep him at full health. We want him out of dodge here because this does a bleed, and that will make it very difficult for Largo to be at full HP. It is unfortunate here that I have to bring Lynette to the front based on this cycle of events. 1 BP only here, so we are getting 7 breaks, and that's it. Masterful moves Therion. Do that little debuff. It's only about 1,000 damage. This is a lot more damage, but there's no other way around it. We do need to break on that turn, and there we get the bad RNG where Billy dies. The 2 hits on Billy there are absolutely awful. So that is one of the big pieces of RNG that we can run into, but that's okay. We'll just go next. That is the nature of this fight. Random skills killing random people at inopportune times make this a very challenging kill. All right. Alright, you saw A2 took a bunch of damage that time. 4 Cyrus, which is great. Again, we are going to max boost this turn, but not the next. Okay, that was pretty ideal. Now we just do 1 BP here and no BP anywhere else. That breaks, which is great. There is a variation that I'm debating where I just get 4 attacks in with Billy there, but I think I'm not going to do that. Kind of makes the math a lot different. This is built around the math being perfect for the turn 9 break. Turn 10 big attack, and then turn 11 cleanup step. Alright, so this we know is going to be the poison multi-hit. So we definitely don't want A2 up front. We don't want Billy up front, but we do. The math dictates that we get an attack with Billy in either on last turn or this turn. I'm debating switching that up, but I wanted to restrain foe on that turn so that we can carry those debuffs through the rest of the thing. That's actually fine. It's not perfect that Lynette got hit, but she's gonna go right back to the back, and we're gonna set up for the kill turns. Now we just need to hope that we don't over damage and that we don't get an unlucky A2 death. A2 is really the only concern at this point. Lynette could theoretically die as well if we get some really poor RNG, based on the fact that she will have that bleed, but she should be okay for the most part. This turn is max March, which gives critical, which is fantastic for Therion and A2. This is another point of things mattering. We want Lynette to be faster than TT so that Falco gets the Lynette buff before TT comes forward and buffs everyone else. Otherwise, this doesn't work very well. So this is a triple bite, and it needs to be Therion. We can't switch to Billy because then Therion will miss some buffs on the next turn. So that's the problem there. Next turn is ult, 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 and ult. So this is a setup turn. I do like that only hit for 15 and 17k. That is a great sign as far as the over damage goes. So we may be in a good spot here. So I like that. Okay, hitting her is perfect. That is fantastic because that means we are exactly where we need to be. We should be fine on this turn and therefore not have any deaths. So this should be a successful attempt. It's just about whether this does too much damage. We don't want to see him say not bad. 40k is good. 21k is a little high, but with 40k being a little low, I've seen that be as high as 50. So that's pretty good. Alright, so we're going to triple edge since it's on the break turn. And pomegranate. Those hits being over 30k are why we can do the triple bite, because we are near the damage cap with A2. Not quite with Therion on this iteration. So we can just leave him with Paralyzing Tooth. We don't need that defense down here. We can triple bite here, just to show you that like he should be at about 29k. He's a little under, but that's okay. Alright, so here we switch over. For this turn, it definitely does more to do that, since they are no longer near the damage cap. And we should do just enough damage to kill Largo here. Looking good. Yep, we're good to go. And that, my friends, is the RNG of Largo on a 1-break with Falco. Well executed. Very specific comp, requires some very specific gear. So here we are on this party screen. Therion, A2, Falco are all required as your damage pieces. I definitely am not sure if A0, A2 can do it. You may have to have some more ridiculous A4 accessories to do it. Falco being A1 and A2 being A0 is probably possible, but it is a little bit of damage to make up. Lynette's required, Billy's required, and Alphin's required. These two are just for the first set of ads. I like TT because she increases the crit. There is another variation of this fight where instead of using Therion's debuff there, we use Falco's Debilitate and then apply a Therion debuff later to extend it, which I think does a little bit better as far as Therion's damage. The problem is over-damaging with that method is way more common, so it's a little bit safer to do it in this iteration. With that said, getting into ults, I do have Therion ult at 10 out of 10. Everyone else, and Lynette does need to be at 10 out of 10. Billy doesn't, but it helps because then you only have to use him once, so ideally 10 out of 10. Everyone else's ult, I mean, Falco's at 9 out of 10 is important because you want to charge it up fast. A2 is the same. You want to be able to charge it up fast enough and not have to do too many moves, as it is a tight fight. So that is recommended. There you can see some of the stats, focusing in on this P attack and this P attack. Those are very important stats. The skills that I bring to this fight: Tooth, Foe, Hellfire triple, Berserk triple, Piercing Strike, and Debilitate, Strength, Snatch, Assassinate. I didn't use Debilitate in this run, but I have used it in other runs. You don't really need anything else on Falco, so it's fine. Masterful Moves is a buff that you apply to give to a single person. Alright, now gear, Berserk, 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 of course, low damage to reduce damage, and then just survivability on these two with the Origin, and Brave Fan so that we can keep that passive going. We also give her the Silver Ball and Cap to make her a little bit faster in the earlier turns, which helps with her overall speed. And she keeps it going because of her swapping bonus, so yay, it keeps her faster than TT. A4s that I'm using here, since I know that's the relevant piece, I have Viola's A4 on Therion, and I have 2B's A4. So that's one that you definitely may not have. So this is not a non-whale friendly clear. I am using Coda's and Therion's A4 here. That's why A2 breaks instead of Therion. I've tried it both ways. I feel like this one's the more consistent. So I did keep it this way, but you could absolutely switch the lockpick and the cameo. Therion will then do more damage than A2 in that situation. This is just 25% dagger. That's, you just want to make him go bang. This is survivability. It's just about regen and health. This is about making him faster and keeping his SP totals high. So Kitty Cape is absolutely a big one. 30 speed makes him faster than Cyrus, which is necessary for the A2 swap for the Codas. Cyrus, I gave him 9S goggles. You don't need that. That is an A4 that you absolutely do not need. You can just give him some other equipment that gives him E attack and you'll be fine. This is another A4 ritual equipment that's honestly not that hard to get. I think it's Millard's or something like that. But you don't need it. Again, E-Attack would be just fine. So those are 2 A4s that I do use that you don't need. You just may need to use a couple more BP on the terms that I'm using. 1 BP or no BP in the case of the actual kill turn for the first wave of ads. This is just HP. Nothing special about it. So the key A4s that I have here that actually matter are Therions, Violas, and 2Bs. Nothing else there, so I don't have a crazy amount of A4s, which is why this fight is drawn out just a little bit longer than some other one break kills. But it does work. It is a variation. I am very lucky to have Therion A4. As you can see, I'm not a super big whale because I don't have everybody like A4 or anything like that. But I have been very lucky. I got Therion 3 times on the Thief banner, which allowed me to get him to final status because I had him at A2 at the time. And then I took A2 to Pity. So, and then I bought her Awakening Stone, so she's at A1. But on the way of doing that, I did get 2B all the way to A5. So I got really lucky on pulling a lot of 2B and 9S along the way. I just didn't get A2 on my 6,000 rubies worth of pulls. So there's that. But I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I hope it was informational, and I hope it helps you in your own clears. I do have a 2-break strategy clear up already, so feel free to take a look at that. I may eventually remake that video with a little bit more explanation of what's going on. But if you do follow it, you should understand that it works basically the same way. You're just making sure that you're applying key debuffs at key times, keeping certain players out of harm's way at specific times, and making sure to set your breaks up exactly and then do as much damage as you can while you can to skip certain waves of ads and avoid that dreaded 4th wave. In this case, I'm trying to skip 2, 3, and 4 and was successful in doing so. I do wish you the best of luck on Largo, and thank you for watching.